Hi everybody. This is the last video I'm going to do for a while. Um, for about 25 plus years I have had a great interest in collecting, turning over as many rocks as I can, so to speak, looking for U.S. President, original U.S. President recordings, particularly those prior to say Herbert Hoover. Excuse me. And I thought I would go through some of the ones. I don't think this is all that I have. I think I have more of the 12-inch. These are only the 12-inch U.S. President records in my collection. And so I collected up, I think, most of what I have. I think I have more. I probably have maybe 5 or 6 more. But this comprises what I could find today. And I thought I would share some of the labels with you. And then when we're done, we're done looking through the labels here, I'm going to play one of them and hope you enjoy it. So the first one here is a Victor Grand Prize record, single-sided, 12-inch. These are all 12-inch again records. And this is The Republican Party Stands by Mr. Roosevelt by our 27th president, William Howard Taft. Early on, when Teddy was president, Taft and Teddy Roosevelt became pretty good friends, very good friends in fact. And unfortunately, things went sour between them in later years. It's a very sad story, but that's the way it goes sometimes. It's just a shame. But anyway, so this is, and most of these are exceedingly difficult to find, these 12-inch U.S. President records, the early ones. So there's the first one I want to show you. And the next one is, by the way, that previous one was number 31708. This one is the next one in that series of 12-inch Victors that was recorded by Taft. This one is 31709, Functions of the Next Administration by William Howard Taft, on a 12-inch Victor Grand Prize record. Most of these are in superb condition too. And this is 31710, the third in the series. This is what constitutes an unlawful trust. That's hard to say. This is like, it's funny. It should be easy for me to say, but it's not. Anyway, so that's another. That's the third one in the series. Another Victor Grand Prize 12-inch by William Howard Taft. And the next one is, some of these are dusty too. I haven't played them in years. This is a Nation's Forum 12-inch record. This is a double-sided record. And this is Law and Order by Calvin Coolidge. And interestingly, Calvin Coolidge was from Vermont, and he was an old Vermonter. Here it says he's governor of Massachusetts. Of course he was. And what he was probably, one of the things he was known for is saying very little. He was a man of few words. And there's an old story, and I probably have some of this wrong, and I apologize for being wrong, whatever part of it's wrong, but he was at a dinner, and the person next to him, recognizing that Cal didn't say very much, said, I'll bet you $10 or whatever the amount was, that I can get you to say more than 2 words. He said this to Calvin Coolidge, and Calvin Coolidge responded with, "You lose." So anyway, so he got $10 or whatever it was, Coolidge did. So he was our 30th president, as you know. next one is, boy, this is really off center in the sleeve. The next one is our 29th president, Warren G. Harding, on another different label, 12-inch Nations Forum record label, and this one features a picture of Warren G. Harding, and this is Americanism by Warren G. Harding. Again, he was our 29th president, just before Coolidge. Unfortunately, Warren G. Harding had some problems with some things during his administration. There was the Teapot Dome scandal, but the good thing is he really, a lot of people unfortunately consider him one of the weaker of the U.S. presidents, but he actually did get some good things done that needed to be done when he was in office. So that's a Nations Forum picture label with Warren G. Harding. Teddy Roosevelt on a Victor Batwing label. Why the Trusts and Bosses Oppose the Progressive Party by Theodore Roosevelt. 12-inch double-sided record by Teddy Roosevelt. Very difficult to find. And this is another early 12-inch patent label, Liberty of the People by Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. Very, very difficult to find. He was our 26th president, and he got a lot of things done. So there's that one. And this is the one I'm going to play. This is very scarce Victor 12-inch patents label by our 28th president, Woodrow Wilson. And this is Woodrow Wilson on Labor. Notice that unlike the other ones, this reads Woodrow Wilson on Labor. Instead of having labor as the title, say here, and then centered underneath it, Woodrow Wilson, this one reads Woodrow Wilson on Labor. And again, I'm going to play this one on one of my Victor M phonographs. So hopefully you'll find this one interesting. An interesting listen, interesting recording to listen to. Again, Woodrow Wilson's original recordings are exceedingly hard to find. And by the way, the other side of this, it is a two-sided record, is Woodrow Wilson on the Tariff. So, but we'll do the labor one. We'll play that one. This is probably the easiest of the U.S. president, early U.S. president records to find. At least it has been for me. I probably have three or four of these in my collection. This is Warren G. Harding again. Another picture label featuring Warren G. Harding. And this is the address at Hoboken on return of for burial of American soldiers, sailors, Marines, and nurses, May 23, 1921. And he directs that the royalty accruing from the sale of this record be given to the American Red Cross, which is a fine gesture. So that is the end of what I could find of my president records. And so when we return, we'll listen to Woodrow Wilson on Labor. Okay? So we will see you in a few. Okay, we're back again. I've mounted Woodrow Wilson on Labor, the 12-inch, one of the several 12-inch U.S. president records that I featured a little while ago. And I hope you enjoy this. So off we go. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm playing this on one of my Victor Model M phonographs with old corn.
To look at the politics of the day from the viewpoint of the laboring man is not to suggest that there is one view proper to him, another to the employer, another to the capitalist, another to the professional man, but merely that the life of the country as a whole may be looked at from various points of view and yet be viewed as a whole. The whole business of politics is to bring classes together upon a platform of accommodation and common interest. In a political campaign, the voters are called upon to choose between parties and leaders. Parties and platforms and candidates should be frankly put under examination to see what they will yield us by way of progress. And there are a great many questions which the working man may legitimately ask and press until he gets a definite answer. The predictions of the leader of the new party are as alarming as the predictions of the various San Patter. He declares that he is not troubled by the fact that a very large amount of money is taken out of the pocket of the general taxpayer and put into the pocket of particular classes of protected manufacturers, but that his concern is that so little of this money gets into the pocket of the laboring man, and so large a proportion of it into the pockets of the employer. I have searched his program very thoroughly for an indication of what he expects to do in order to see to it that a larger proportion of this prize money gets into the pay envelope, and I have found only one suggestion. There is a plank in the program which speaks of establishing a minimum or living wage for women workers, and I suppose that we may assume that the principle is not in the long run meant to be confined in its application to women only. Perhaps we are justified in assuming that the third party looks forward to the general establishment by law of a minimum wage. It is very likely, I take it for granted, that if a minimum wage were established by law, the great majority of employers would take occasion to bring their wage scale as nearly as might be down to the level of that minimum. And it would be very awkward for the working man to resist that process successfully, because it would be dangerous to strike against the authority of the federal government. Moreover, most of his employers, at any rate practically all of the most powerful of them, would be wards and protégés of that very government, which is the master of us all. For no part of this program can be discussed intelligently without remembering that monopoly, as handled by it, is not to be prevented, but accepted and regulated. When you have thought the whole thing out, therefore, you will find that the program of the new party legalizes monopoly and of necessity subordinates working men to them, and to the plans made by the government both with regard to employment and with regard to wages. Take the thing as a whole, and it looks strangely like economic mastery over the very lives and fortunes of those who do the daily work of the nation. And all this under the overwhelming power and sovereignty of the national government. What most of us are fighting for is to break up this very partnership between big business and the government.
That's interesting. That's only about the second time I've heard that recording by Woodrow Wilson. You can tell that he is concerned about employment. You know, even back when he was in office, and he was concerned with monopolies and, as he mentioned, the setting the minimum wage not only for women but for men as well. And so you could tell that Wilson, along with all the other presidents before him and after him, had an awful lot that they were trying to get a handle on. And so anyway, I hope you enjoyed Woodrow Wilson on Labor. And I'm on one of my 12-inch Victor U.S. President, one of the U.S. President's records from my collection, played on my Victor Type M here. Okay, so again, thanks so much for stopping in for a visit, and I hope you enjoy this.